What? Mum? Dad? Where are the... No! Lights! Where are the lights?
Flickering on, the lights reveal the interior of a tiny escape pod. An equally tiny boy, no more than 12, sits in its only seat. He frantically fumbles around, attempting to turn on the screens in front of him.
Yes! Okay, I just gotta... What do you mean not found? That doesn't make any sense! Let me see the full scan results. Asteroids? Asteroids? And dust? That's it? Where's the rest of it?
The boy pulls a lever on the wall. Slowly, a panel slides open, revealing the blackness of space outside. The light from a nearby star illuminates a sparse asteroid field, and nothing else.
The whole planet? How? How could he? How could you do this? Doctor!
Kneeling at the base of the TARDIS console, Jessie carefully latches a tube into an open port. Reaching for a nearby tool, her eyes remain on the technology before her. The doctor sits in one of the red velvet chairs, peeking over the book in his hands to watch her work.
Okay, ventilation port gamma, realigned. Now I just need to...
Perhaps you're looking for...
No, don't! I've almost got it. I just need to...
Adjust
the temporal parameters, right! And these can be accessed right back behind this panel.
Trailing off, Jessie reaches her arm deep into the mess of wires and tubes, her oversized sweater and baggy jeans thoroughly smeared with oil and grease. Smiling proudly, the doctor turns his attention back to his book.
Oh, the lights! Damn it! Wait a second, I think I just need to...
The lights flicker back on, revealing a relieved Jessie, now dressed in a lavender stewardess's outfit. The doctor stands, surprised.
Tegan?
What is that on your jacket?
Glancing down, the doctor notices a bright green vegetable pinned to his left lapel. A piece of celery.
Just a minute now, this is... Oh, I see.
What happened?
Don't worry, Halloween hasn't come early. These clothes are holographic.
Holographic? Oh, I must have tripped the aesthetic components or something, but... Why these clothes, and who's Tegan?
Approaching the console, the doctor kneels down to inspect the machinery, and Jessie gets a closer look at his red pinstriped attire.
Tegan was a friend of mine. She used to travel with me. And this is the outfit I used to wear back then. I think I still make it work. But don't worry, I can fix this. It's only a minor temporal displacement with the audio visuals.
Whoa. Slow your roll for a second. Your clothes changed to what you used to wear?
Reaching his head into the mess of wires, the doctor begins to adjust them.
Correct.
So why am I not wearing something from when I was a kid? Why am I dressed as... what's her name? Tegan?
The doctor pops his head back out.
That's a bit more awkward to explain.
Go on.
Well, the TARDIS is most certainly alive, but she's also a machine. It's only natural that she tends to... categorize things.
Categorize? Really? I'm just another skirt to you? And I thought we were cool.
Alright, ladies, let's just keep a cool head, please. No need to have a spat over something so trivial.
Flicking a few switches, the doctor gestures to his clothes. Both he and Jessie have returned to normal.
Fine. I'm all done with the installation anyway. You were right, it's nowhere near as hard as it looks. Well, Except for that part at the end.
And you did a stellar job! Really, it's only been about a year, and you're already working with technology centuries ahead of your time.
Yeah, well, you're trying to flatter me, aren't you?
Flatter? I haven't the faintest idea what you might be implying.
You totally are. Why? What's up?
Well, I know I said we'd go star surfing next, but I've been brushing up recently on my Greco-Roman architecture, and I had this wonderful idea.
Nerd trip. Got it. It's cool. The last 3 places have been my pick, so let me just get cleaned up and I'll meet you back down here.
Jessie ascends the stairs and heads to her room. As soon as she's out of earshot, the doctor turns to face the consul.
I know, of course you sensed it. That little clothing fiasco wasn't Jessie's doing. Something's not right here.
Fading in atop a grassy hill, the TARDIS lands, and its doors quickly swing open.
Tell me, Jessie, how familiar are you with the legend of the Minotaur?
That's the guy with the horse head, right?
Not exactly. The Minotaur is a man-eating creature from ancient Greek mythology, with the body of a human and the head of a bull.
Bull! That's right, with the big horns.
Quite. Legend goes that the Minotaur, Asterion, was trapped in a labyrinth designed by Daedalus until he was eventually slain by the mighty Theseus, hero of Athens.
Is that where we are? Athens?
No, Athens is about 2 miles that way. This is the island of Crete, the supposed location of Daedalus's labyrinth.
Don't tell me we're going monster hunting.
No, not at all. I've actually already met the real Minotaur the legends are based off of. Not the nicest chap, but he was actually from Atlantis. That was quite a day. There was a chronivore monster and, well, story for another time.
Descending the hill, the pair make their way into a small town. Amidst the short stone buildings, people bustle about in their white cloaks, carrying pots, wineskins, and small animals. The doctor offers a bright smile and wave for each odd stare they receive.
Anyway, the Atlantean labyrinth, the reason it was believed to be on Crete, is because there are actually several maze-like structures on this island, one of which is right outside this town, Gortin. Which brings us to...
The two come to a stop at the entrance to a small cave at the edge of the town. Around them, various workers carry large chunks of stone back into the city.
The Gortin Quarry, also known as the Labyrinthian Caves.
It's a hole in the dirt.
Yes, but it's a very important hole in the dirt.
If you say so.
This is a marvel of the ancient world. A complex system of chambers and corridors more than 2.5 kilometers, 1.5 miles deep. This is not only a piece of history, but the possible foundation of a legend. Doesn't that excite you?
You know what? Sure, let's explore. As long as you don't spend the whole time lecturing.
Oh, Stella! And I wouldn't dream of it. That said, you do know the difference between a maze and a labyrinth, don't you?
Spelling?
Stepping forward, the two enter the mouth of the cave, the entrance to the labyrinth.
Fair point. They are spelled differently, but there is a more fundamental difference between the two. You see, a maze is broken up.
Doctor?
Was that really too much lecturing? Already? I was just getting warmed up.
No, not that. Look!
The two stop in place. Instead of the stone walls of an underground quarry, they are surrounded by pristine metal, beneath bright LED lights. Jessie takes a step towards the window, now located to their left. Outside is the vast expanse of space, and a single bright red planet.
Oh dear. I can feel it. We've moved a significant amount through time.
How did that even happen? That's not Earth, is it? Unless it changed a lot.
The red planet outside the window is covered in a hazy smog, masking its right half, which appears to be comprised entirely of metal. The doctor only takes a moment to glance at it, before moving his eyes to study the stars in the distance.
That's not Earth.
Ooh, well, that's a relief. I would rather not have my homeworld turned into a giant Terminator.
You have no idea. We are nowhere near Earth. In fact, we're about 1/4 of a way across the universe.
Seriously? How did that even happen? Were we knocked out or something?
I don't believe so. We were mid-conversation. Did you feel anything strange when we moved from Crete to this space station?
No, it was just like walking into the next room.
Nor did I. There was a smooth transition.
So, what does that mean? Is this some sort of illusion?
I doubt it. I can usually see right through that sort of thing. Of course, any natural phenomenon that could move us this far across space and time wouldn't be so smooth. This was a man-made wormhole, and a rather elegant one at that.
Well, at least there's an easy way out of this.
Oh? Do tell.
Yeah, duh. We go back the same way we came.
Before the doctor can react, Jessie turns on her heel and walks through the metallic archway behind them that leads to another corridor of the space station. As she passes the threshold, she disappears from the doctor's sight.
Yeah, duh. She's full of beans today, isn't she?
With a shrug and a knowing smile, the doctor follows Jessie into the archway. Out into the open air, onto the caboose of a moving train. Before him, Jessie stares back in a mix of fear and confusion, clutching onto the railing.
Well, I'll be!
Doctor, we're on a train now!
Yeah, duh!
Before them, train tracks recede into the desert. Strong winds whip her hair as Jessie tries to adjust to the speed of the running locomotive. The doctor calmly walks up beside her, leaning casually on the railing.
Judging by the sound of the train, I'd say this is the 19th century. The American West. You're practically home.
So I'm guessing that wouldn't take us back to Greece?
I presumed it wouldn't. Although, I could have been wrong.
Are you ever wrong?
No, I don't think so.
They share a smile, watching for a moment as the sun sets over the dusty plains.
Alright, it's a lovely view, but we really should get to figuring out this little conundrum.
They step inside the cabin and find themselves overlooking a bright blue sky, a soft patch of fluffy cloud beneath their feet.
And now we're in heaven.
Fascinating. So the transportation happens every time we pass through a doorway, be they natural or man-made. Right now, it appears as though we're in... Yes, the Cloud Cities of Phantrum.
Taking in her surroundings, Jessie sees only blue skies in all directions, save for the 3 bright suns shining down from above. Beneath them, a layer of white cloud makes up the ground, and behind them, a perfectly circular hole. Careful not to fall, Jessie cranes her neck over it, seeing the blurry ground miles below.
Okay, are we sure we're not dreaming? Because this feels like a dream.
If this were my dream, I'd know. And if this were your dream, I wouldn't be sentient. Of course, from your perspective, I suppose you wouldn't be able to tell, would you? See, that's the trouble with lacking higher order psychic abilities.
Not to interrupt, but shouldn't you be more worried about this?
How do you mean? You don't seem to be in any danger at the moment.
I mean, the first few jumps were cool, but what's going on? We're lost, right? Just like that, we get tossed across the universe, no idea how, with no way to get back to the TARDIS. Shouldn't you be more worried?
Perhaps, but panicking wouldn't do us any good now, would it? Not when there are observations to be made.
The doctor inspects the hole behind them, as well as one several yards away. They both lead directly to an enormous drop.
I suppose these are the only doors around here. Perhaps any facsimile of an entrance will do. Let's try this one, instead of the one that brought us here.
Yeah, but what if they don't lead us anywhere else? What if it's just a hole?
Then we get to go skydiving. I see it as a win-win.
Stepping off the cloud and into the circle, the doctor flashes Jessie a grin as he falls through it, disappearing from view. Clamping her eyes shut, Jessie follows suit, jumping into the hole. Only for her feet to land on solid ground. Opening her eyes, she sees the headlights of an oncoming car quickly approaching. The doctor grabs her by the arm, swiftly yanking her out of its way.
Oh my god!
It's all right, I've got you. By the looks of it, we're in Mumbai. Yes, 2003 by my best guess. What luck. I haven't been to India for quite some time.
Wait, we're in India? Bomb! That was one of the places I wanted to go back when... well, before we met.
Oh? Then let's make the most of this opportunity. It might be helpful to see how far we can go without jumping again.
Say no more. This is way cooler than some Greek hole. No offense.
None taken.
Ooh, do you think we could make it to the Taj Mahal?
What happened to taking this more seriously?
Brushing aside a vine sprinkled with bright red leaves, the doctor scans the environment with his sonic. Behind him, Jessie grumbles as she navigates through the crimson plants.
Remarkable. I'm not picking up on anything. No out-of-place electromagnetic waves, no psychic interference, nothing. This really is just a jungle.
I can't believe this. Right when I thought to try some of the street food, too.
To be fair, I told you not to go through any doors.
Yeah, but a car door? How was I supposed to know getting in a taxi would teleport me to this? I'm so mad, I can't even think of something funny to call this place.
If you think you're upset, imagine how that cab driver must feel.
Yeah, well, at least he gets a funny story out of it.
How about this? I'll take you back to Mumbai once we find the TARDIS. You can get some authentic Vada Pav right by Dalal Street. I know this great little place, but for now, look at where we're standing. A jungle completely full of red flora. The plants must operate off of anthocyanins instead of chlorophyll. Perhaps because their sun is a different colour? I can't see the sky from here. Maybe if we...
Oh, you know what else is super unique about this jungle?
No? What?
It doesn't have any doors.
Point taken.
The two continue to trek through the red trees, careful not to trip on any protruding roots or tangled vines. Eventually, they come to a clearing, a large, open field of scarlet grass surrounding an enormous lone tree.
Aha! Jesse, I believe we found our escape.
What, a tree? Are you gonna cut it down and build a door?
That's actually not a bad idea. But no! Look there, at the base of the trunk. See where those roots arch up from the ground?
Oh, you think that would work like a gate?
If the mouth of a cave counts as a doorway, why wouldn't these? Come on!
I was wondering how long it would take you to find a way out.
Stopping in their tracks, the Doctor and Jesse look to the source of the voice. A man dressed in all black steps out from behind one of the giant roots. His ashy grey skin and slick black hair contrast his bright red eyes.
There are only 7 of these trees on this planet. Of course, scrounge around enough and I'm sure there are other ways out. I like the idea of constructing a door. You're a smart young woman.
Doctor? Who's the goth?
I presume the creator of this labyrinth?
You presume correctly.
What's your damage with us, man? You're making this nerd trip take way longer than it needs to.
Rest assured, I have no trouble with you. Your traveling companion, on the other hand...
Before we get down to business, I have to say, as far as doctor traps go, this is easily one of the most impressive. I've been exploring for nearly an hour, and I still haven't the faintest clue how this all works. And don't get me started on how smooth the transitions are.
Please, save me your praises. I have no interest in them. Not when they come from you.
Alright then, let's get down to brass tacks. How have you done this? To create the connections between different galaxies, different time zones, so effortlessly mapping them to every individual doorway. I only know of one race of beings capable of that.
Good. You understand that my prison is founded on Time Lord technology.
How? How could you get a hold of something so complex, so potent, especially without my knowledge? Nothing like that should exist. Save for...
Save for what? Time Lord? Does he mean the TARDIS?
Precisely.
Really?
Your TARDIS. The one machine beneath the heavens powerful enough to uphold my grand vision, my vision of your eternal capture. I've used your own home to torment you. A calculated irony.
But how? How is my TARDIS part of this? And better yet, how did you manage to use it? She's not exactly the easiest to manipulate. Actually, on second thought, don't tell me. I very much enjoy this part, figuring it out on my own. It's quite fun to—
Enough! You speak to me so casually. You have no idea who I am, do you?
Sorry, no. I don't believe we've met before. You really built this all yourself?
Yes. You are standing in my life's work.
You spent your whole life making this place? To trap the Doctor? Why?
It was a life very well lived. This is monumentally impressive.
Enough! I don't want your compliments. I want you to hear me. Hear my testimony before I close the door on this prison I've devised.
Testimony? So I have slighted you in some way. I've lived a very long life. You'll have to excuse me if I can't recall your face. Perhaps, if you tell me who you are, we can set things straight.
Set things straight? You really must not remember.
I'm afraid I don't. Go on then, let's hear it. Who are you?
My name My true name died along with every member of my race when you obliterated our home world. I barely escaped with my life, a meager child. I had to watch my planet crumble to dust at the work of your hands. For years I toiled, I dedicated my life to just vengeance, to finally trap you. Of course, the only prison great enough to hold a being like you is the universe itself. Get comfortable, Doctor. Because of my work, you are always everywhere, and yet, you can go nowhere. I want you to know that, and to remember that as you walk the universe for the rest of time, and to remember the man who did this to you. My new name, the one I chose as both the architect of your imprisonment and the ruthless bane of your existence, Asterion Daedalus.
Whoa, that's pretty heavy. You didn't really destroy this guy's planet, right?
I don't... Of course not. I would never. Look, Asterion, is it? I love the name, by the way. I have no knowledge of destroying your world. I don't even know what world that is. I'm sure this has all been a misunderstanding.
You are in no position to bargain. I've studied you my entire life. I know how you poison minds with your silver tongue, masquerading as innocent, as ignorant. You killed my people. You left me to rot, and now your bill has come due. Enjoy your eternity, Doctor.
With one final scowl, Asterion takes a step backward, disappearing as he passes beneath the arching root.
Quickly, before we lose him.
Dashing forward, the Doctor and Jessie follow their captor beneath the root, disappearing from the world of Crimson.
Where'd he go? I can't see him. There's so many people everywhere.
This one's clever. Very clever indeed. Leading us here. Of course we'd lose him in this crowd. For all we know, he might have just stepped right back into the door he came out of, jumped somewhere entirely different.
So that's it? We lost him that fast?
Unfortunately, pardon me, it looks like it. Oh, excuse me, my mistake.
How about we ditch the mosh pit?
Wonderful idea. Pardon me!
Carefully weaving their way through the crowd of colourfully dressed people, the two break out into the open and finally get a look at their surroundings.
Oh, lovely! It appears this part of the labyrinth... Yes, we're in Broganapolis. Fascinating place. The entire planet is one gigantic mall. Layers and layers of nothing else. Actually, no one has ever found a planet beneath all the mall. I always wanted to lead an expedition to its centre, but now's not the time for that. Really, this Asterion has been showing me quite a lovely time today.
I know you're joking, but it almost seems like you're defending this guy.
Well, he's not a monster, is he? As far as I can tell, at worst, he's misguided. He's the hero and I'm the villain. And instead of destroying worlds to get to me, he builds this truly exceptional prison to contain me, in just about the most humane way I can imagine a prison could exist. I have no doubt he'll let you go with a slap on the wrist.
Maybe. And this place is pretty dope. It's taking most of my concentration not to go window shopping right now, but if he thinks he's the hero, what happened to his planet? It has to be some kind of misunderstanding. You were probably there when someone else attacked, right? There's no way you really destroyed his whole planet. All those people?
I don't believe so. It sounds like a rather rude thing to do, don't you think?
I'm serious. You really don't remember his people? Or you can't remember them?
No. Well, I certainly hope not. I do know this. He's a Digito, a race of nomadic people that lived on various worlds all across 3 separate galaxies, constantly moving. I've been to most of them, but I don't recall... Well, now that I think about it, there is a good chunk of my second incarnation that I've never been able to remember very well. Back when I was running errands for the CIA. But that's probably not relevant. They tend to be more circumspect instead of world-destroying.
The CIA?
No. Time Lord CIA, not American CIA. That is a rather common mix-up.
Wait, this is stupid. You don't need to remember him or his planet. You would never do that anyway. Kill an entire race, right?
The edges of the Doctor's smile tug downward slightly, like a frown trying to creep through.
Of course not. Look, I can have this all sorted if I just talk to the man, so that should be our focus. He was quick to dash after our first encounter, but there's probably something I can do to get his attention.
Okay, so lure him out instead of track him down.
Exactly! And to do that, I'll need to take a look around. Get a better idea of how this labyrinth works. Right now, all I know is that it somehow functions using the TARDIS as a power source, I suppose?
Well, if he wanted to sap its power, he would have needed to access the engine rooms. There's like a million safeguards in place to prevent that, though, unless he was physically inside the TARDIS at some point, right?
Correct. And even then, he'd still need an extremely advanced topographical system to map each location to... Are you familiar with the concept of a hypercube?
Don't think so.
Alright, it's like a Rubik's Cube. They're popular in your time, yes?
Yeah, I know what a Rubik's Cube is. I have one somewhere, I think.
A Rubik's Cube is made up of individual cubes, 9 on each side that twist and change in order for the user to assemble the same colours on each side. Now imagine that the Rubik's Cube is a single cube on a much larger Rubik's Cube, and it can be shifted and moved as well. Now, imagine this bigger cube becoming a single cube in a much bigger Rubik's Cube, and then again, and again and again, going on and on until infinity.
And that's a, hypercube?
No, not even close, but it's a good enough metaphor for now. Imagine each face on the original, smallest cube being a separate location, overlaid onto the geometry of something exceedingly large, and all the connections are being upheld using the power of the TARDIS.
I think I get it. Kinda. So how does that help us?
If it's true that each location is mapped to something already in existence, that means there's a pattern connecting them all. If I can figure out that pattern, there might be a way to exploit it. And if not, I can probably deduce the random seed that's arranging them, although that would likely take much longer.
Do you have any idea how frustrating it is to almost understand everything you're saying?
Not even a little bit. But here's where the plan comes in. I'm going to pick a door and go exploring. I'll probably be looking for a while, but I'm great at taking notes. In the meanwhile, you need to stay here.
This is sounding very familiar, and I don't like that.
Oh, don't you worry. If my hunch is right, by the time I make it back to this mall, it should be right after I left. The fact that these doors take us through time as well as space implies to me that they've been designed to lock us in temporarily.
Alright, but what if you don't make it back here? What if this Hyper Rubik's Cube really is infinite and there's no way back to me, to this mall?
Then don't go through any doors.
Ha ha.
I mean it. Just stay put. This is a very forgiving location. There's people, food, shelter. You'll be fine here. But I only need you to stay put for 1 hour.
Why an hour?
Because I should be back by then. And if I'm not, I am sure we're being monitored. If I really can't find my way back to you, I'll convince Asterion to let you out. As I said, he thinks he's the hero. And a hero wouldn't punish someone innocent like you.
Okay, it's not like this is a boring place to be stranded. I can take a look around, maybe grab something to eat. I'm still craving Indian food. Just don't ditch me, got it?
Wouldn't dream of it. Be on this bench in 1 hour.
1 hour.
This bench.
Got it.
With a grin and a wave, the Doctor turns and enters one of the many stores lining the walls, disappearing from view. Pacing along the mall walkway, Jessie absent-mindedly takes another bite of the hot dog in her hand, drizzled with a bright blue alien condiment. Her eyes scan a kiosk in the center of the floor.
Earth books! All-time bestsellers. Let's see. Tale of Two Cities. Lord of the Rings. The hell is a Harry Potter?
A young man who one day discovers he's a wizard.
Startled, Jessie drops both the book and the hot dog.
You're asteroid.
Asterion.
Yeah, that.
I'm not going to hurt you. I have no intention, really. I just want to talk.
Well, I wish you would have led with that. I really liked whatever that blue stuff was.
I'll purchase another one for you once we're done.
Okay. I guess, let's cop a squad over here.
Inspecting Asterion for any sign of a weapon, Jessie reluctantly walks him over to the metal bench the Doctor had chosen for her. They both take a seat. After a moment of awkward silence, Asterion speaks up.
Harry Potter. It's a very popular Earth series from shortly after your time. You are from the 20th century, the 1960s, correct?
80s.
Oh, my apologies.
Oh, don't worry about it. What exactly is going on here? What do you want from me?
Right, sorry. I like to plan things out carefully, and this wasn't something I envisioned I'd have to do.
What?
I didn't mean to trap you here along with the doctor. I'll be releasing you as soon as you'd like.
Seriously, just like that? Did he have to bargain with you or something?
No, quite the opposite. I expected I'd have to find a way to separate you two, but seeing how you split up so quickly, it threw me off guard. To be frank, it still surprises me that someone like the doctor has traveling companions.
Really? You didn't talk to the doctor at all? He didn't convince you to let me out with some trick or reverse trap or something like that? You really haven't heard from him.
Looking down at the ground, Asterion's red eyes avoid Jesse as his hands begin to tremble ever so slightly.
No, I haven't spoken to him at all since our first encounter in the Red Jungle.
Dude, are you okay? You look like you're freaking out. You are the same guy that gave us that crazy supervillain speech, right?
I rehearsed that speech so many times. I first wrote it 15 of your years ago, and I've practiced it every single day since, knowing that one day I'd have to say it to him. To his face.
Are you serious?
It was supposed to be longer, but I couldn't stand to look him in the eyes any more than that. I apologize for not telling you then that you were free to leave.
Oh my god, you're terrified of him, aren't you?
Of course I am. The oncoming storm, destroyer of worlds, the evil one. That man has reshaped the entire universe in his wake. My planet, my people are just one of thousands that have been burnt to ash because of him.
Are we even talking about the same guy? The doctor saves people, protects planets. I've seen him do it 100 times by now.
Tell that to the Vervoids, or the Saturnins, or the Racons. Tell that to the Time Lords. Haven't you ever wondered why he's the only one?
You're seriously saying that he's committed multiple genocides? That's ridiculous!
I don't need to convince you of anything. You're free to leave whenever you like. I'll alter each of the doors in this center to transport you to your home in California.
Well, maybe I can convince you. You said you were surprised that the doctor had a friend he traveled with. I'm guessing that means there's a ton of his adventures you've never even heard of.
I'm not sure how that's relevant.
Come on, man, just hear me out.
All right.
Back when we first started traveling together, maybe a month in, the doctor took me hiking on this planet with really low gravity. It was more like jumping than hiking, I guess, but it was killer, trust me. Anyway, the whole point was to get to the top of this one mountain where there was going to be this huge cosmic event, a supernova a few light years away. I don't remember exactly how it worked, but the elements in the air up at the top of the mountain and the way they react with that planet's specific gravity, apparently at just the right angle, it interacts with light like nothing else. Basically, the whole sky was gonna look like a big gnarly kaleidoscope, but only at that exact spot, on that exact mountain, and only one time ever.
I'm intrigued. Go on.
Apparently, he'd been planning on taking this trip for hundreds of years, and he knew he only had one chance to get it right, so we tried to get to the mountaintop early, but there was this whole thing with the pit of monster snakes. That's not important, but when we got there, there was actually a family living up on that mountain. They were outcasts from the tribe down in the valley, and just a mom, dad, and a little boy, so we said hi, had a little chit-chat, then the doctor and I got in the exact right position to watch the supernova. It was this tiny little square you had to be inside of to see it. But right when the time came, he stepped off to the side and had the little boy take his place.
So he missed it?
He missed it. It was so weird. He'd been talking about it for a whole week beforehand, and the little boy didn't know anything about it. None of the family did. It's not like they would have known they'd missed out on anything. Afterwards, I asked him why he did it, and you know what he said? Beauty is worthless if it's not shared. That's who the doctor is.
I see. I'm glad that the doctor has been an inspiration to you. You've reaffirmed my belief that even the most evil among us can show glimmers of compassion and empathy. But that doesn't erase their crimes.
What exactly happened? On your planet, what exactly did the doctor do to you?
I was 12 years old. I didn't know the details at the time. I still don't have all of them. But news quickly spread across the world when the doctor landed in our capital. We were a poor family. I didn't have access to up-to-date news coverage. Not that I would have watched it anyways, I was a child. But I heard the whispers, the hushed tones, my parents and teachers speaking behind closed doors. Our planet was being invaded by a single man. He dropped down right in the center of our government and had been holed up there, threatening and fighting with our elected leaders. I had no opinion at the time, no frame of reference. But the bogeyman known as the Doctor was never far from my thoughts. Of course, it all came to a head that night.
What night? What happened?
I don't know what time it was. All I know was that I was fast asleep. My parents, they shook me awake, lots of shouting, so much chaos. Then a mad dash for the spaceport. I was half asleep. I don't think I even asked what was happening. I just remember a very sudden darkness. I might have passed out, but I woke up in that darkness, an escape pod. It must have been launched from Metraxus when I was unconscious. Imagine for a moment, you open up your window and find your home world reduced to mere rubble, floating amongst the stars. Billions of lives, your people, your brethren, blinked out in a single moment.
I can't even begin to understand that. I'm so sorry.
It was none of your doing.
But still, it's horrible. Were you rescued? Sorry, dumb question. Obviously, you were rescued.
I nearly wasn't. The provisional supplies of the escape pod, they allowed for 4 days of food, water, and breathable air. Of course, there's a protocol in dire situations that greatly reduces the amount of each you're provided. 4 days of survival can be stretched into 12. That was the most difficult period of my entire life.
12 days alone in space? That must have been so...
Lonely. Oh, you'd think so. But my mind was elsewhere. The air was quite thin to last longer. Pair that with how little I was allowed to eat and drink each day. Loneliness was a luxury I could not afford. After the 6th day, eating and drinking started to become disgusting. I'm not sure how to put it exactly. The idea of chewing and swallowing was so repulsive. It was a struggle to force myself to eat. I was so afraid, so worried it would eventually run out. The idea of consuming anything became horrific.
You were scared of eating.
I understand how ludicrous it sounds, but that was the worst part. I'd try to eat my tiny portion of dried food. I'd gag and choke and cough until I could get it down. I was quite frightened that if I was somehow rescued, I'd still die of starvation. Like I would never learn to eat again, like this time had completely broken me.
I get it. I understand why you'd want revenge.
No, not revenge. I was interested in that once, a long time ago. Especially after I had some time to learn of the Doctor's many travesties across the universe, but not anymore. I thought I'd try to kill him, but it quickly became apparent how impossible of a task that would be. So I settled on something more concrete. Justice.
That's the whole point of this thing? To make the Doctor pay for his crimes?
And to protect the universe from him. He cannot commit atrocities like this, not when he's shackled to the cosmos. I've done the universe a great service.
I know you think that, but that's not the Doctor I know. Your story, as terrible as it was, you never actually saw the Doctor do any of it. How can you condemn him based off of hearsay?
I understand that he's your friend, but I will not entertain the idea. His crimes are well known throughout the universe, and mine is not a unique case.
I really wish you'd
That I'd what?
Looking up, Asterion is startled to find Jessie has vanished. Intensely inspecting the bench, then the mall around them, the grey man leaps to his feet.
Where could she have Of course! This must be his doing!
Taking a deep breath, Asterion regains his composure. before exiting the mall through one of the many store entrances.
Doctor?
Stepping out from a rocky archway atop a gaping stone canyon, Asterion angrily surveys the environment.
I know you're here. You haven't left this location in hours.
Who? Little old me?
Peering his head over the cliff face, Asterion spots the Doctor, rappelling down its side with a wide grin on his face.
What? How did you acquire
The rope? I bought it off a very nice coal miner just a few doors ago. I thought it might be handy.
Of course, you're collecting tools from various worlds.
I'd love to stay and chat, but I must be going. Toodaloo!
With a very large jump, the Doctor rappels further down the cliff face, swinging straight into a hole on its side, disappearing.
I should have figured he'd be crafty like this. Oh, he's going to escape, isn't he? He'll break out and then he'll have his sights set on finding me. No. I have him tracked. I've thought this through. I just need to find him. I can handle this.
Walking back through the archway behind him, Asterion steps out onto a black world covered in shining crystals beneath a luminescent starry sky.
This really is a lovely place. I have to thank you for showing it to me. Perhaps I'll take Jessie here for a bit of stargazing.
That would be a wonderful plan, if you could ever escape.
You could always let me out.
The Doctor steps into the mouth of a cave, and Asterion quickly follows. They emerge inside an enormous igloo, the rounded walls built from icy powdered snow.
You think I'd just let you leave? After all you've done?
I figured I'd at least ask, since you don't seem too keen on hearing an apology.
The Doctor enters one of several branching pathways carved into the ice, and out of the mouth of a gigantic whale-like creature. Stepping onto the sand, he takes a brief moment to admire the pink waters lapping up against the beach beneath the pastel green sky.
Of course, I can't properly apologize if you still won't tell me the name of your world.
Before the grey pursuer can respond, the Doctor ducks inside a small thatched hut on the beach, out of view. He's followed into the grand halls of an opulent alien cathedral. Standing in the center aisle, with a wide grin on his face, is the Doctor.
Oh, I absolutely love the acoustics in here, don't you?
Matraxis. My home, the one you decimated. It was called Matraxis.
I see. Still not ringing a bell, unfortunately.
Zipping through the pews and out the door, the Doctor disappears yet again.
Doctor?
You'd reconsider. Whoa, what the hell?
Disoriented, Jessie takes a step back. She no longer sits on the bench of an alien mall. Instead, she is now standing in complete darkness.
Okay, where am I? Doctor, was this part of your plan or something? Doctor?
Jessie takes a tentative step forward, her hands waving all about to make sure she doesn't bump into anything. After a few nervous steps forward, a soft golden light begins to twinkle through the darkness right before her feet.
Oh, hello?
Sparkling in place for a moment, the light begins to move, leaving a trail along the floor as it slowly picks up speed. Zipping around a corner, it disappears.
Follow the leader. Got it.
Walking along the golden trail, Jessie follows it through the darkness. After several minutes, she finally reaches the end of the trail. The glowing light continues to sparkle next to a large metallic lever amidst the darkness.
Okay, big mystery lever. I should probably stop to think what this might do, but there is no way I'm not gonna pull this thing.
With a goofy grin, Jessie places both hands on the lever and gives it a strong pull downward. All around her, bright white lights flicker on, illuminating a pristine yet simple white TARDIS console room.
This is the secondary control room. Oh, sick, I've never been in here. Wait, that means I've been in the TARDIS this whole time? How did that even happen?
Inspecting the simplified console, Jessie finds an envelope taped to one of the panels. On the front, in pristine golden calligraphy, is written,
From the Doctor.
Stepping out of the lower deck of a wooden ship, the Doctor glances all about, trying to take in his surroundings.
Ah, This is most certainly not London. I may have miscalculated by a smidge.
Arrgh! Who goes there? Have we a stowaway?
Hello. Sorry, wrong deck. I'll just see myself out.
Behind the doctor, Asterion emerges from the lower deck, his red eyes squinting from the bright sunlight.
Avast! There's a demon aboard this vessel!
Not another step, Doctor. There's nowhere for you to run that I can't reach you. Now tell me what you've done with Jessie.
Oh, that's all you wanted to know. That's a simple one. I let her out.
With a grin, the doctor hops over the edge of the deck. But there's no splash. Asterion leans over the edge to spot him, only to find an open porthole on the side of the ship.
Not again! But the next world in the sequence, this might be my chance.
Dashing back down below deck, Asterion disappears.
What was in that room I had last night?
Asterion steps out of a metal hatch into a round glass room. Inches away, outside the transparent walls, are miles and miles of swirling blue ocean. A school of minuscule fish flutters by. The doctor offers Asterion a slightly nervous smile as he is blocking the only door out of the room.
Something tells me you're not planning on letting me out.
After I've finally managed to pin you down.
What if I said I really had to use the little boy's room?
Stop mocking me!
Reaching into his jacket, Asterion retrieves a small weapon. Hand shaking, he pointed at the doctor.
This gun wasn't built, it was grown, comprised entirely of petrified cellulose. It's made of wood.
Sonic already at the ready, the doctor tenses slightly before dropping his hands to his sides.
All right, the game is over. You've caught me.
Breathing heavy, Asterion keeps his grey finger trained on the trigger, while his other hand slowly closes the metal latch behind them, sealing the two inside the underwater dome.
I've been monitoring you, watching as you explored. I've reviewed the footage very carefully. You haven't done anything. No building machines or combining chemicals. All you've done is walk around. The most I've seen you do is stand still and stare up at the sky for no more than an hour. And then you just start exploring again.
Isn't that why you put me in here?
Where is the girl? How did you make her disappear?
I can see you're quite angry, but I suspect that's masking something else.
What?
Fear, perhaps?
No, of course not.
All this blustering, the chase, the threatening, it's all to conceal a nagging sense of fear, isn't it? Fear that perhaps I'm more than you bargained for. Perhaps the more exaggerated tales of my exploits aren't as exaggerated as you first thought. Perhaps I'm so powerful that I transcend even something as magnificent as your labyrinth, that by simply willing it to be true, I can leave your prison whenever I wish.
No! I've studied you. I know everything there is to know about you. You can't just... Nothing is that powerful. Not even you. You can't be.
You know everything about me? I guarantee you haven't even scratched the surface.
No, I do know you. I do.
You know me?
Yes!
Then what is my name?
Arm shaking, Asterion lowers his weapon. Outside the tank, the tiny fish are eclipsed by the silhouette of an enormous whale.
The TARDIS has psychic controls. That's how I managed to get Jessie out of your labyrinth.
What?
I know I act like it sometimes, but I'm not really a god. I've met a few gods, nice conversationalists, but they all have dreadful senses of humour.
What are you talking about?
Your labyrinth. It took me a while to figure out. I kept track of time, about 4 days total, exploring the different worlds where each door led. My only hint was what you said when we met, that you were using my TARDIS. Of course, I assumed you were siphoning her power to sustain the connections, which, in a roundabout way, was true. Speaking of, how did you ever manage to infiltrate her? That's not an easy feat.
I learned of your travels, destinations where I knew you would eventually appear. I released symbionic nanites into the air, harmless, functionless on their own. But by the time you landed in 12 of my predetermined locations, the nanites were able to merge and
activate without detection! I must say, you truly are remarkable, Asterion! The name, was that intentional? Did you plan for Crete to be my final destination?
Yes. In a twisted way, I assumed you would appreciate it.
Ha ha! A genius and a poet! I say, in another lifetime, you and I would have gotten along swimmingly. Oh, come on now! I'm not threatening you. We're just having a chat. Lighten up a little.
Please, Doctor. How did you break Jesse out of my trap?
Right, of course. Well, I was stumped. Proper stumped. I had only an idea of how you managed to map out all the different worlds, but no clue what you mapped them on, or how the stars you managed to siphon so much power from the TARDIS without my notice. It was only when I considered both of those problems simultaneously.
A small smile creeps across Asterion's defeated face.
My entire life's work. Of course you figured it out in less than a week.
You managed to map each individual location, a place and a time, right on top of the physical rooms inside my TARDIS! You actually trapped me inside my own home! I had to hold in my laughter once I finally pieced it all together. That's just so brilliant!
Where we're standing now is simultaneously an observation room beneath the Portilvian Sea, and one of the minor storage compartments of your TARDIS. The two locations are existing in the same space, dimensionally shifted by a fraction of a percentage.
Once I figured that out, all I had to do was locate the primary console room.
The psychic controls.
Precisely. They only work in extremely close proximity, so I had to be absolutely sure I was in the right spot before I tried making any commands.
That's why you were standing still looking up into the sky. You were searching.
And once I found the console room, I sent a simple mental command to shift Jessie onto the same dimensional wavelength as the TARDIS. Like that, she phased right out of your trap. Well, you have your answer. That was what you wanted, wasn't it? Asterion? Something funny?
I can't believe I was so naive, so foolish. I really truly thought I had you contained, that I'd bested you. But I woefully miscalculated. All this work, all these years I spent building this labyrinth right down the drain. And now, I'm right back where I was at the start.
A new look of pain, determination washing over his face. Asterion raises his weapon once again.
You're far too dangerous to leave unattended, and trapping you is a fool's errand. I really hoped it wouldn't come to this, but I am left with no alternative. For the good of the universe, you are not leaving this room alive.
Now hold on just 1 minute. Don't you still need to ask yourself one question?
I've run out of patience with you, with all of this.
One very important question.
What?
Why didn't I let myself out? When I was at the controls, I let Jessie out, but not myself. To test you. I wanted to see if what you said was true. If you really do fear me. If you really believe that I was the one who destroyed your world.
Snarling, Asterion repositions his hand on the gun.
Well, now you have your answer.
Yes, and Jessie has a note from me. A note instructing her how to work the TARDIS's dimensional controls. A note instructing her to shift me back into the console room and to lock your signature in here.
No, she couldn't.
She can. I've been teaching Jessie how to pilot the TARDIS for months now. Not to mention all of her engineering training. She's really a wonderkind.
No, you can't do this to me.
You're dangerous, Asterion. Very dangerous. But you're not evil. Just look at all this. Look at what you've accomplished. I've been pulled all across the universe, all in the comfort of my own TARDIS. A prison I never tire of, limited only by my own ingenuity. That is truly an elegant solution to the problem of what to do with me. And now, it is an elegant solution of what to do with you. I would much rather you live inside the instrument of your own design than I deal with you another way.
Pulling a golden pocket watch from his jacket, the doctor checks the time.
I managed to evade you long enough to give Jessie some time to work. I should be phasing out of here in about 20 seconds.
You were always an inevitability. I should have realized. I accept my fate.
8 seconds. 7 seconds.
Although it was brief, it was good to know you, Asterion.
2 seconds. 1 second.
Oh dear. Is Jessie running late? Or perhaps I may have miscalculated.
The two stand and stare at each other for a moment, contemplating the Doctor's failed plan.
Fate has shone on the side of justice in my darkest hour. I won't waste it. Goodbye, Doctor.
Narrowly avoiding the blast, the Doctor points his sonic at the now cracking glass behind him, shattering a hole in the dome, causing seawater to rapidly flood into the room.
Here's hoping this counts as the door!
Sopping wet, the Doctor dashes down the busy night streets of New York City. Brushing past various pedestrians amidst the sound of honking horns, his eyes dart about frantically.
You won't escape, Doctor. I'm putting an end to you.
Nervously glancing behind, the Doctor stops at a busy intersection. Plucking the smartphone out of the hand of a young woman waiting for the bus, he tosses her his pocket watch in exchange.
Hey! What are you doing?
Terribly sorry, but I need the processor. That watch is 24 carats. Now you can buy 10 new phones!
Narrowly avoiding several more blasts from Asterion, the Doctor quickly enters the nearest storefront, buzzing his sonic at the screen of the smartphone.
This ends now!
The chase continues, from a quiet cabin to a muggy swamp, then a dreary, dilapidated mansion.
If memory serves me, this next door should take me to the 53rd century. Wonderful.
What?
Sprinting past a very confused crew, the Doctor navigates through the halls of the ship. Asterion is close behind, knocking down every person in his way.
There! The engines! Good thing you're not behind another door. You can spare a single fuel cell, can't you? And I'm sure you don't need these spare parts either.
Doctor!
Ducking into the door of an escape pod, the Doctor disappears. Asterion stops briefly, his eyes widening at the sight of the pod. Shaking his head, he quickly steps inside and out of the entrance to the Khufu Pyramid of Giza. Before he can survey the sandy landscape before him, beneath the setting sun, Asterion is hoisted into the air and forcefully tossed back down to the ground.
I apologise. I really don't enjoy being so hands-on, but desperate times call for Venusian Aikido. I'm sure you understand.
My gun!
Sorry, I nabbed that too.
Rubbing his forehead, Asterion slowly tries to move again. As he does, the Doctor hastily fiddles with the mechanical components in his hands, along with Asterion's wooden weapon.
Now, you should know from your research that I tend not to like guns very much. Violence often begets violence. It's a terrible cycle. That's why I was originally so impressed with your Labyrinth.
Originally?
Yes, well, you seem to have abandoned that sentiment with all the shooting. To be fair, I did sort of set you off with that big grand speech about fear.
I see. You're going to kill me.
Well, trapping you is no longer an option.
With a final buzz of his sonic, the Doctor completes the device in his hands. Asterion's gun now includes several protruding mechanical components.
Fine. Finish the work you started so long ago. You let me slip away as a child. It's only fitting you be the one to complete your genocide. Matraxis dies with me.
Ah, that's right. I suppose you should know before I do this.
The Doctor points the weapon at Asterion, who is now kneeling before him in the sand.
I do remember your world.
A cool breeze whips through the Doctor's fiery hair, and he takes a deep breath.
You know, I've been to so many worlds, and of course recently that number has jumped quite a bit higher. But few things are as satisfying as a light spring breeze over an open field. I should have more picnics.
What? How am I still alive?
Beneath his knees, Asterion sees a patch of thick, navy grass. Looking up, where the Doctor's weapon was just moments ago, is now his gloved hand. Confused, Asterion takes it, and the Doctor helps him to his feet.
It's been a while for you. Tell me, how does it feel to be back home?
Home? You mean this is...
Mutraxis! I apologise for the bumpy ride. I'd normally never be caught using a vortex manipulator. They're so gauche. But it's the best I could hobble together on such short notice. And you were shooting at me.
I don't understand. You brought me back in time? But before my home... before this world was destroyed?
That's just it. You're standing on Mutraxis 28 years after you left. It was never destroyed.
Dumbfounded, Asterion takes a step backward, surveying the world around him. He takes in the navy fields, the soft pink sky, and the shining city on a hill off in the distance. Tears welling up in his red eyes, Asterion nearly stumbles to the ground as he paces the familiar blue fields.
I'm really home. Oh, there's the capital and the rose sky. Oh, nowhere in the universe has a sky like this. Like home. Oh.
You were only a child. Of course you didn't know. Your people were nomadic because of how quickly they grew. Your rapidly expanding population meant you had to jump from world to even bigger world just so that everyone had enough space to live their lives. But there were some who thought that travelling across the universe wasn't drastic enough a measure. They thought a culling was required.
Culling?
It was so long ago for me, at least 1,000 years. But I did land here, and I had a bit of a scuffle with the president. Needless to say, he changed his mind. I have a tendency to do that when I meet eugenicists. Unfortunately, one of his underlings tried to enact the plan anyway. I was sure I had stopped the signal. I truly am so sorry.
Wait just a moment. Are you saying that I was jettisoned from my home on accident?
And that it was never destroyed. The original plan was to round up the youngest generations and launch them off to different worlds throughout the galaxy. They were to be administered a low-level hypnotic suggestion, so that they'd believe their home was destroyed. So that
we'd never try to return. Oh no.
I truly am so terribly sorry that I missed you. I had no idea anyone had received the order to enact the culling. A handful of soldiers must have received the signal. I don't know if you were the only one, but the first thing I plan to do is...
The doctor is interrupted as Asterion embraces him in a hug.
I hated you. For so long, all I wanted was to make you suffer. And you were trying to save me.
Hey now, save your tears for the reunion. I'm sure your friends and family can't wait to see you again.
The planet is still here, and so are the people. I can see them.
Pulling away, Asterion takes a moment to compose himself, and then removes a small device from his jacket, flicking several switches.
There. I've deactivated my nanites. The Labyrinth locations are no longer bound to your TARDIS.
He looks to the city in the distance, a genuine smile curled across his face.
I can zip you over there if you like. I just figured this conversation was best held somewhere secluded.
No, thank you. I'll walk. I want to enjoy this.
Drifting off into thought, Asterion begins to wander towards the city, taking in the beauty of his homeworld with every step, with every breath. Smiling brightly, the doctor begins to plug in the coordinates of his TARDIS into the vortex manipulator.
Oh, Doctor. Thank you. I don't deserve this kindness.
All those years ago, your people launched their absolute greatest asset off into the stars because they were worried he might take up too much space, that he would somehow be a detriment. You want to thank me?
The two share a smile.
Prove them wrong. Honey, I'm home!
Stepping through the TARDIS doors, the doctor takes a second to confirm he hasn't been transported somewhere foreign. A look of relief washes over his face, and he steps inside, only to be tackled into a hug by Jessie.
Oh my god, you're alive! You made it back! You smell like dead fish. Why do you smell like dead fish?
That would be because I took an unfortunate dip in an alien ocean. Not to worry though, no sea life was harmed in the making of my daring escape.
Oh yeah, Astro, the goth guy, what happened to him?
We managed to work things out in the end. He's back on his home world.
So it wasn't destroyed?
No, but he was made to believe so. I can tell you all the fun details later. Right now I'm in dire need of a shower. The important thing is, he's safe at home and we're no worse for wear. Well, I'm not anyway. You are alright, aren't you?
Me? Yeah, I'm fine. I was just worried that things would escalate between you two. He really seemed like a good guy under all that justice stuff.
Well, I'm just glad you made it back safe. When my initial plan fell through, I thought that you might not have made it back inside the TARDIS.
At this, Jessie's expression flutters and she takes a step back.
Oh, yeah. I got your note. I guess I just couldn't figure it out. Sorry about that.
It's nothing to worry about. Everything turned out just fine in the end. Tell you what, I don't think the people of Mumbai will mind my smell all that much. How about we go and get some of that street food you were talking about?
Maybe. Could we go tomorrow? I'm, kinda tired.
Oh? Alright then.
Absent-mindedly rubbing the pendant around her neck between her finger and thumb, Jessie takes a few slow steps towards the stairs.
Night.
Good night. Were you teasing her again? That's a good point. Pull up the surveillance for the secondary control room today. What happened in there, Jessie?